Basically, we go around town, we interview expats, people that are here on vacation. We get their story, we get their experiences. We don't use faces. We digitally alter the voices a little bit, but we've been having a good conversation. I'd like to take you down to a little cafe where we can sit quietly and just speak for 15 to 20 minutes.
Sure, I guess that sounds okay. Can I finish my beer first? And I'm not sure why you don't want to use my voice or my face. I'd like to plug my social media channels if we're doing an interview.
We don't want to put your face on. We don't want to use your authentic voice because sometimes people relate information to us that could have a little bit of liability associated.
Okay, I guess I understand that. Yeah, just let me finish this beer and then we can walk down there. I have been in Thailand now for 3 months. I flew into Phuket, spent a week and a half over on the Phi Phi Islands. Then I flew from Phuket back to Bangkok. I traveled up to Chiang Mai, returned to Bangkok, and now I am here in Pattaya. I've been in the Pattaya beach area now for over 2 weeks. We've been doing a lot of live streams. We've been doing a lot of informative videos, helping people experience the area through my eyes, giving them travel information and advice. By the way, you can support me by donating at blake.com. Pattaya is a very interesting area. It's vibrant, it's full of life. But you have to be aware of the local cultures and customs in order to survive here. This can be a very dangerous place if you're not aware of your surroundings. I just did a video about how to navigate and survive the Straits of Pattaya. Yes, one of the tips that I give is to use currency from your home country instead of using the Thai baht, especially when you're negotiating transportation. I have a room very close to Big C, and instead of negotiating in baht with the motorcycle driver, normally he will charge me around 300 baht for the drive into town and then 300 baht for a drive back from town. I'll give him a $10 US bill. He will come down, he will pick me up, take me from my room down to LK Metro, Soy Bukautish area, and then he'll come back in the evening and take me back to my room, all for $10 US instead of having to negotiate with him each fare. I've heard of that app. Unfortunately, it will not function on my phone because I'm still using a Canadian SIM card. My favorite thing about Pattaya, you said Pattaya. I'm pretty sure it's Pattaya. My favorite thing about, we'll figure that out. My favorite thing about Pattaya is probably just being in a different culture, learning from different people, finding new experiences. I like to walk along Beach Road in the late afternoon just to see all the different stores, restaurants, bars, and the various people walking up and down the street. I love the 7-Elevens. We met inside the 7-Eleven. I go in there, they've got an amazing selection of Thai food, and it's extremely inexpensive. I can buy my entire dinner, buy a couple bottles of beer, sit in front of the 7-Eleven, enjoy my dinner, and get to interact with the local people here. I think that is my favorite thing about being in this country. Well, as I told you, I'm an influencer, so I receive contributions from my viewers off of the various social media platforms, and if you would allow me, I'd like to plug them again. Most of my contributions come from my live streaming. I do live streams set up down on Soy 6, and on that walking street, I will walk up and down the street, allow them to see what I see, allow them to hear what I hear, and while we're having communication, I'll ask them to provide a contribution. Yes, sometimes the girls get upset. They'll come out and ask me to turn off the video equipment, but I'm not going to. It's legal. I can video anywhere here in public. There's no law against it. I've had a couple guys come up and get upset because they think it's invading their privacy. My response is, don't go out in public. I mean, there's cameras everywhere these days. It's not just me out streaming. The worst thing that's happened to me, I haven't had anything bad happen to me. I've had a bad experience or two. Probably the worst was I was down south renting a room from a lady. I had paid for 4 days, but I needed an additional 4 days. I didn't have payment at the time, although it was a contribution. I knew the monies were coming, but she just wouldn't accept that as an answer. She wanted payment at the time of the rental, and I told her I don't have the money yet, but it is coming. And no matter how many times I tried to explain this to her, she was still filled with negativity and anger, and that's probably one of the bad situations. I chose Thailand mainly because of their stance on cannabis. When they made cannabis legal and accessible for practically everyone in the country, I think that move should be rewarded. So coming here and helping promote the country and the cannabis operators here in town was a major component in my decision making. I've been also looking at possibly getting employment working at a cannabis shop. I feel like I have a lot to offer, so if anyone's listening and you're in the Pattaya area and you're looking for a very good employee who's educated on cannabis, maybe you can contact me. No, I do not have a girlfriend. I've had a couple relationships over here, not with girls per se. Let's just say that I've had a couple romantic relationships. They just haven't worked out. I think mostly it's cultural differences and being able to understand one another. And from my perspective, I don't think the Thais are very good at sharing resources when you're in a relationship. I'm confused as to what you're trying to tell me. I'm a Canadian citizen. We don't need a visa. I didn't need a visa to come into this country. I certainly don't need a visa to stay here. Though I came in on a round trip airplane ticket, but obviously I didn't take the flight home, but nobody at the airport told me that there was any sort of restriction on how long I could stay here. That information conflicts with what I've read and what I've been told. Yes, I hear what you're saying, Overstay Fees. I just don't think you're correct. I don't think as a Canadian citizen may apply to me. You know, I think I'm gonna go because this conversation just seems like it's getting negative and the energy doesn't feel good anymore. So I'd just like to say goodbye and good luck with your project. You're welcome to use everything that we've discussed up to this point, but I just don't feel like I want to really talk anymore at this point.
Well, I most certainly did not mean to project any negativity towards you, and if that's the way it came across, I apologize. But you do have some bad information, and some of that information can get you into a little bit of trouble. Most notably, your visa situation. Rough calculation would tell me you're probably 50 days into an overstay. When you go to the airport, you're going to have to pay an overstay fine for every day that you've been here. So my advice is, hang on a second, my advice is just stop by any one of the visa agents in town, sit with them for just sit with them for a couple minutes and let them give you some good information. The last thing, hang on a second, the last thing I'm going to tell you is, look, a motorcycle ride in this town is usually going to cost you 100 baht or less. Whoever the guy that you're using over by Big C is taking advantage of you. Go into any 7-Eleven, you can buy a tourist SIM card. They're extremely inexpensive. Then you'll have data on your phone. Download the Bolt app, and there's no negotiating anymore with the motorcycle taxis. Pick me up, drop me off. There's the rate.
You're trying to have an argument with me.
No, I don't want to have an argument with you, but if you're putting videos out and you're providing information, you should really make an effort to make sure that the information you're putting out is accurate. That's all I'm trying to say.
Wow, your remarks are hostile. It's always people like you. that do this. You put up fences that the rest of us have to stand behind. Pay to come in. Pay to come in.
Okay, well, let's just put the cards on the table. Now let me tell you what I really think, and I have been very gentle with you up until this point. No, hang on. Hear this out. This is good for you. Look, dude, you're a 35-year-old guy from Canada. I don't know how you got over here, but you're extremely misinformed on just about everything that comes out of your mouth. Second of all, no, wait. I've seen you standing in front of that 7-Eleven pretty much every day for the last week. It's the same shtick. Every foreigner that walks by, hey, excuse me, can you lend me some money so that I can buy some food? I'll pay you back next week. Man, come on. And you're not a social influencer. I just looked at your social media accounts. You've got like 1,100 people on Twitch following you, but they're not following you. They're following the train wreck. And if some of them feel like the train wreck is fun enough to watch, I'm sure they are donating money to you. But take this. Well, he's gone. Interesting character. I'm not sure that this interview is ever going to see light of day. Normally, I don't want to interject. I want to just let them flow, but there was some really bad information contained in there and it needed to be corrected.